evening, everyone, and welcome to another year of The Golden Path. It's my first show back, but the two men beside me, Ron Duffy and Brad Gray, have already had a run first up from a break. We had a nice little break, didn't we? And now we're back for our favourite show, Duff. Good evening to you.
Hey, Al. Thought we were going to learn a little bit more last week, but we're in that holding zone. When we might have to wait again after this week to get more confident. Probably the Todman is the race we all want to see. But funny things can happen with two-year-old racing, Brad.
Yeah, a little bit's happened in the past week, though, hasn't it? We saw Wadton obviously step out. We've seen the Blue Diamond. The Blue Diamond winner came, or the Gold Slip winner came through the Blue Diamond just last year. And although there's a few question marks over the depth of the race this year, they've come out and they've done it. So that counts for something.
The filly.
I
might never forget that line. It'll go down in history, won't it? It was the filly, but all eyes on Wotan, who's still our favourite for the Golden Slipper, as we take a look at the market and see what it's at the moment. So outside of Wotan, it's probably the most open slipper market we've had in recent years, you could say. So Wotan's our $3.50 favourite. He was out from 3, I think, following his run on the weekend. We had North England, who was scratched with a bad blood for the weekend. Shaggy, who's not nommed at 11s. Bivark, who came out and won the Silver Slipper 13s. West of Swindon. Bella Zane there at 17s. Tycoon Star coming out of the Blue Diamond. And Palatine as well at 21. So that's how it's looking at the moment for the Golden Slipper market. So $3.50 about our favourite Wotan, who was just out there really almost for a bit of a day out in the Silver Slipper.
Well, that's how it ended up, didn't it?
Yeah.
That's it turned out. And look, I think obviously 350s is unders, but listening to Tim, when I think the liability is more than $500,000 for him, and they can't lay any runners to beat him at this stage. So they're just sitting on the fence waiting for something to happen, but they can't push him, even though on paper, you're putting his form through the computer, he might spit out $6 or $7.
Yes, I agree with that. I think in any other year, they'd probably be tempted just to wind him out, maybe $4, $4.50 to get a few bites. But given the current liability, that he's been so heavily backed already, they're just cuddling the best they can.
They certainly are. Let's take a look at the order of entry and how it stands at the moment here for our 2-year-olds ahead of the Golden Slipper. So we have, of course, Bivark, who's now exempt after winning the Silver Slipper. Devil Knight, who was our Blue Diamond winner. North England, who I think they had said on radio they don't have to rush with him, and that's the benefit of him being able to just take that extra time as he was scratched with a bad blood on the weekend. Temptress, who was fantastic in the Diamond. The Playwright, who really has been such a tough filly, hasn't she? What she's been able to do this prep. She sort of goes under the radar. I think, did she run 4th in the end in the Blue Diamond?
She was around the mark.
Yep. And then we have over the page High Barbie, Tempted, Extractor. Bella Zane's 19, so she's right on the cusp. Comedy we see on the weekend. Wotan is 21st at this stage, and the list goes on there. So we'll just touch on Wotan. We did talk about him, and maybe Bivark as well, our winner. So Bivark had the benefit of the race fitness, but he really executed, didn't he, on the weekend?
I think that's the word. He executed much better. He wanted to overdo things at his first start, and little things haven't clicked for him, and they certainly clicked there in the weekend. And he put what we thought was a good field away. So I know there's excuses, and maybe recent racing on his side was an advantage, but he still put him away, Brad.
Yeah, he did it nicely, didn't he? So he has to take that another step again, but he's trending the right way. On Wotan, that's a horrible spot to be, isn't it? Rose Hill, 1,100 metres, 3 wide, working, and he still kept finding the line. So if you've been with him all the way through, as a lot of us have been, I wouldn't be jumping off, no way in the world.
And I wouldn't be jumping off West of Swindon as well. Now, on paper, it looked like he had the cream run to blend in and win that race, but the market told you that he needed that. He's a big, strong horse. He needed that run. We know what John Hawkes and his boys can do as far as grand finals are concerned, and he's qualified early. That's the key. So they're not crunched down. I have to qualify. He was one that dead set has qualified, and I'm still very wary of him come grand final day.
And he'd only had the one trial going into that as well, hadn't he?
One soft trial.
Yeah, that's right. Let's take a look then at the market for the Skyline for the boys this weekend. This 2-year-old picture just continues to change shape. So Shaggy, who's still, I don't think, nommed officially for the Golden Slipper, is our $2.20 favourite. Rivellino, last start winner at 6s along with Comedy. Then we have Skyhook at $8.50. Algorithmic, who was an eye-catcher at 12s. Quietly Arrogant, 13s. Hilly at 19s along with stablemate Peleus. And I had a chat to the team, Rob Archibald, on the weekend. It was Tuesday morning. I've lost track of my days at track work, and he's really pleased with how Peleus is tracking. But we do have a couple of replays to bring you. Let's take a look at Shaggy last start.
Well, he's hard to knock with just a natural 2-year-old who flies the gates, and this race may probably develop the same way, Brad.
Yeah, we all had a question mark on him prior to this, didn't we? We're like, how do you line up? The Coffs Harbour, 800-metre form, went to Sunshine Coast. What did he beat there? Albeit he panelled them. But he stood up here. He did get an easy enough time in the first half of the race, but there was a 3-wide line there at one point, and he did have to absorb a bit of pressure. And look the way that he finds here. So another question that he has to answer on Saturday is, of course, 1,200 metres, but I wouldn't say he was staggering on the line, and the map's pretty kind to him on Saturday. So a few eye catchers in behind. Skyhook, given he was on debut, he was met with good support, and there was Comedy right down the outside with the blinkers first time.
Yeah, they're both interesting. Comedy was very good. He had a lot to do, and he'll prime up better here. My eyes are more so for Skyhook there. I feel he went into that race with only one trial, a lot more to offer, and he was well tried. So there was a good tip around for him, and I thought he did more than enough. And my theory is the map. So I think with that run under his belt, barrier 1, no pressure, he gets on Shaggy's back, he gets a slipstream there, and if there's any doubt with Shaggy running the 1,200, I think on the day, Skyhook might be the one ready to pounce.
OK, all right. Well, Brad, yesterday at the races, you were able to catch up with Adam Hyeronimus, who gets back aboard Shaggy, and get his thoughts ahead of the weekend.
Excited to jump back aboard?
Yeah, most definitely. He was very impressive on his last win at Randwick, so we just got to tick the 1,200 metre box, I think, Saturday, and all systems go, heading towards the Golden Slipper.
Does he give you a bit of confidence that he will have no problems with the 1,200 metres?
Oh, yeah, I'm very confident he will, because I thought he was quite strong through the line, and when you sit back and watch the race, he really went at the 200 metres, so he worked up well at the top of the straight after some pressure being applied. Although he handled it well, still not an easy thing to do. So he worked up well at the top of the straight, but to find again and kick away at the 200 metres, it gives me great confidence that 1,200 won't be a problem. And the gate speed that he has is also fantastic. So he jumps and does no work in that first 100, 200 metres. He puts himself in a beautiful position, so it's going to make it a lot easier as well to run out the 1,200 metres.
And there's only a handful of 2-year-olds, it seems, at the moment that are really putting their hand up as far as going towards a Golden Slipper, and he looks one of them. So what do you make of the picture at the moment?
Yeah, you'd have to agree with what you've just said, and it seems to be a different winner each week. Does that make it difficult? Well, it could do, because there's plenty of horses sort of putting their hand up. It's just a matter of what gets there, the week leading into the Slipper. But there's no reason sitting back and assessing Shaggy that he could still well be on the way up. And he's been to Queensland, he's had a good grounding, he's had a good win the other day at Randwick, so he's been to the track. If he can tick that box and show me that he can run 1,200 and that he's still on the way up, then very exciting heading towards the Slipper for the stable and the connections.
And he's a horse that's developing a little bit of a cult following. You find yourself at the karaoke bar. You've got a few options there as far as the Shaggy songs. Are you choosing It Wasn't Me, Angel, or Mr. Bombastic?
I'll probably just sit back in the corner and just pull my hat down and stay out of it.
Good choice, Hippo. I think I would too. All right, question for you two. What are you doing at karaoke?
Well, if I knew one of these songs, I would actually have a selection.
Well, that's a bit of karaoke.
You've become a Shaggy expert all of a sudden. You know
by default.
The big playlist. We've heard every one of them.
You get it on the screen at the karaoke bar, so all you've got to do is read.
Duff, you would have heard
Is he Australian, this Shaggy fellow?
It wasn't me. You know that song?
No.
Okay, don't worry then.
I think I'd go Wasn't Me. Get the chance to show off the falsetto.
I think that's the easiest choice anyway, the safest choice.
Maybe we could sing a duet.
We need to get back on track, guys. We're really digressing here. Let's take a look at Rivellino when he won the Inglis Millennium.
Well, how do we approach this horse? He's 2 wins at Randwick. Look, this is a restricted race. We keep saying it, so we don't know how to, line that form up against all comers. But they're 2-year-olds, and he beats a big field here. They had pressure on, which worked out well for him. He gives the impression he will eat up 1,200 metres. I think there's no doubt, but does he get enough pressure?
I don't think so.
No.
I think he has to go back, doesn't he? So he's likely giving away a big head start. So all you can do is win, and that's what he's doing. But I, like you, always treat those races with some trepidation, a little bit cautious when it comes to the restricted races.
We need to talk about Quietly Arrogant as well. So he's had a recent trial. The last time we saw him, of course, was in the Magic Millions 2-year-old Classic, and this is his most recent trial, and you thought he might have been over the odds here, Brad?
Yeah, I do. I think, so Shaggy at the moment, he's the horse to beat. The market says as much. I don't think there's a huge edge there at that $2.20, but I do think there's a little edge here with Quietly Arrogant. So he was fantastic in the Magic Millions. I know the form guide doesn't suggest as much. He got a long way out of his ground and really trucked to the line. And look at that trial. He moved sweetly through the line. He maps to get the right run. James McDonald, Peter Snowden, $13. That seems a little bit dismissive.
Couldn't agree more. Everything you said, thought it was a beautiful trial. Gets a lovely draw. And yes, I agree. He's a bet. He is a bet. He cannot start $13.
I wouldn't have thought so.
All right, so let's look at the boys on the weekend in the Skyline. Let's turn our attentions now to the fillies in the Sweet Embrace, and the market here sees Snitzel Miss as our $4 favourite. James McDonald back aboard after his sojourn around the world. Bella Zane is at $4.20. She's going to, quote, what, beat them up? Was that what Gai said?
Gai's very bullish.
Beat them up. Within the Law is at 6, Memo is at 7, price tag 9s, and then a gap to the rest, Open Secret $17 or more. Let's talk about Bella Zane through the Lonhro Plate here as we take a look back.
Well, she was tough.
She was.
She did it both ends. She put a pin in the ears back, wanted to win. She's fast. She's well.
You wish this was 1,100 metres instead of
1,100 she'd be top pick. 1,100 she'd be top pick.
Me too.
Yeah, so there's nothing wrong with that win, and she's untapped. I agree with all that, and she gets a chance to, well, stamp herself a legitimate Golden Slipper chance.
And that's Bayvocht there in second, so
that's right.
Nothing wrong with the form.
There's nothing wrong with that form whatsoever.
We talk about Memo now and Snitzel Miss. So Memo we saw at the very first 2-year-old trials actually, and then she of course went to the Gold Coast. Snitzel Miss also bobs up in this trial.
Well, she's a ripper. She's a ripper, there's no doubt. She's well experienced, and there are some excuses along the way why she is still a maid.
Oh, gee, she can find an excuse, can't she? Poor old Memo. What has she done? Has she, seen the black cat or walked under a ladder, or she's found a way to get beat? But nice trials there. They want us to do a lot. Cruise control.
They both were in very much cruise control there. I like what Snitzel Miss did at her debut. And she split, horses that have run well, second and fourth in a Blue Diamond. Yeah. So there's some depth to that. So I think she'll be, knowing the Chris Waller angle, this is the one he is chasing his tail with to get a slot or enough prize money off. So I'd suggest she's had a few gallops under her belt.
Same as Memo as well, which is significant because we know that Peter Snowden is pretty cunning like that as well in the past. And if you read the play, he'll peak up horses for grand final day, and the semi-final is often just a little blip before he picks up again. Whereas Memo, 41st, so it's go time.
Action, yeah. Time for action.
So Memo's 41st in the order, yet she ran, second in a... She ran second.
Well, she does. She's running those Magic Millions races where only a certain amount of money goes.
So she ran second at Wyong. She ran third behind Gallinero, and she ran second in the Magic Millions 2-year-old Classic. And she's 41st in the Slipper, which I get. But isn't that crazy?
It can be. It can be.
The prize money's like 600,000, isn't it?
We've been arguing over for about 15 years.
I know. It's the ongoing debate.
We're slowly getting there. At least they count it as a Metropolitan win now.
That's right. We won't digress again with the karaoke as well. Let's talk about Within the Law here, guys. Of course, out of the Inglis Millennium.
Well, one thing about her, she's all heart. She's just all heart.
I keep underestimating her.
Me too.
Yeah, so here I thought I want to take her on. I don't know about the depth of the form that she comes through, yet there she is, stepping up to the mark once more, and by all reports, she's an unassuming type. She just goes about her business in her work and brings it to race day, and just due to her sheer consistency, she has to be a factor. A bit of a sticky gate for her as well.
And she gets back and runs on. Look, I think price tag out of that race deserves another chance. She was well fancied, she was wide, no cover, in a fast run race. All the horses come from behind. I know Open Secret was wide there as well, but I just think price tag to hang around in Sydney instead of going to the Blue Diamond just tells you there might be more to be offering from her.
I couldn't agree more. And we need to touch on Wooten Lass as well, who we're yet to see at the races, but she's had 2 nice trials under her belt, the most recent here on the 13th of Feb.
Well, she's trialled well enough, hasn't she?
She has. Never easy for a horse giving away race experience.
She doesn't look real big. She's a Wooten Bassett. That's only looking at her at the screen, but... that
just means they halve the price straight away, don't they?
Yeah, they halve their price straight away. But I did see there was a good early 3,000 on her at the big odds at 25 to 1.
Okay.
I think I got that in the tab email this morning.
Okay.
So
there's some smoke there.
So is that west of Swindon to her inside? Yeah.
Yes. So trial form has to count for something, and she looked to go just as good as west of Swindon. So there's something to work with. Whether this becomes a little bit too soon for her and she's more a Percy Sykes style of filly, maybe. But yeah, I'm a very interested onlooker in her regarding her chances.
He's got a couple of nice 2-year-olds, John Sargent, yeah.
He absolutely does. Well, I was out at track work on Tuesday morning and I was able to have a chat to Rob Archibald and Björn Baker about their 2-year-olds heading into the weekend. Tupakara in the Sweet Embrace, she's first up off the one trial. She was a real eye-catcher though when we saw her in that run last prep. Yeah, talented filly. Looking forward to sort of getting her underway. Got a trial and a jump out and they've both been pleasing. So, yeah, she seems to be forward enough to run a nice race, all being well. You do have Within the Law there in the Sweet Embrace. She's just been so fantastic in all her runs, especially with all that Inglis Millennium money. Yeah, she's done an amazing job, and she actually galloped well for her this morning. She's fairly laid back and casual, and I think Jason was very happy with her, as was I. He, of course, rides her on Saturday, Jason Collett, and just going to the races with her, you know she's going to put 100% in. So I think the 1200 will really suit as well, and she's very, very genuine. And then the boys, so you've got Peleus and Hillier. They both ran in the Canonbury, but then Hillier's also since had a run in the Piero. What do you make of both of them and their runs coming out of that? Yeah, I thought Hillier was excellent sort of first up, a little bit disappointing second up. Just didn't quite go to plan. We just didn't get much cover and we sat a bit further forward in the run than probably was ideal. But confident he can bounce back on Saturday. Peleus is an interesting horse. I thought he was a really good run first up, coming from back in the field, made up good ground, and he seems to have really taken a nice step forward. So both horses going in good order, and yeah, hopefully they just need that little bit of luck with strong racing this time of year, and yeah, they both deserve their chance.
Gai Waterhouse. Gai Waterhouse. Gai. Gai Waterhouse. Gai Waterhouse. Gai Waterhouse. Gai Waterhouse. Gai Waterhouse. Peter Snowden. 2-year-old. Clary Connors, actually. Clary Connors. Lee Friedman. I mean, Gai is probably the clear, obvious choice there.
Gai and Adrian.
Gai Waterhouse. Adrian Bopp.
Gai.
And Adrian.
Yeah, Gai Waterhouse. She's got an incredible record, as her father did as well. So, yeah, I feel we've been able to continue that tradition in terms of the partnership, and I guess that's sort of why I've had such a focus and interest in 2-year-old racing. That's what I've learnt, mentor in Gai. So yeah, I've got a real keen interest in continuing that tradition as well.
Well, I think it's appropriate that I pose that question to the both of you now as well. First trainer that comes to mind when you hear 2-year-olds?
Well, it started with Tulloch Lodge with Tommy Smith, and that's flowed through to Gai, then into Adrian. So that's it. I don't know why they're all hesitating. It was like they were scared to say it.
Down the barrel.
Spit it out, boys. Spit it out.
The gun to their head.
Yeah. It was all down the barrel, very serious, wasn't
Very
it?
serious business.
Am I allowed
Gai
to
Waterhouse.
vote for another stable?
Gai
You've got to
Waterhouse?
give a
Gai
special
Waterhouse.
mention to the, like the Woodlands, Darley, Godolphin, the Hawks, Snowdens. They control those 2-year-old races so well early on, didn't they?
They sure did. And the other one that probably goes under the radar a little bit is Michael Friedman.
Yeah, well, he's the new
that's
kid
who I
on the
would have
block
said.
on his own, yeah.
That's
And
what I
Clary
said.
was a deserved nomination there as well.
Well, it's pretty appropriate then that we give a plug here for a chat that Ray Thomas had with Gai Waterhouse recently. You can catch the full airing of this on the 17th of March, but a little sneak peek for you now.
Who's the first trainer you think of when you talk 2-year-old racing?
Us, Adrian and me. And it says that, he trifectas the Breeders' Plate. 8 golden slippers. What else does one have to do?
the Golden Slipper, and it's the First Lady of Racing's first slipper.
She had a horse that was going to find the line. Once he got to the inside of Snitzeland.
She came out on a dead track and blew them away here. That was just an extraordinary performance.
Is it true that TJ once said Gai Waterhouse couldn't train 2-year-olds?
Well, he did. He told me almost on his dying day. He said, "You make me sick." He said, "A man sick of backing your 2-year-olds, you can't train them." But that was probably the greatest thing Dad ever said to me, because I thought to myself, and I said to Rob, I said, "I'm going to show Dad that, you know, I can train 2-year-olds. I don't want to disappoint him."
What did he say to you? What were you doing wrong back then? Because when you first started, you had a great record with stayers and milers.
I was giving the 2-year-olds a lot of the work I'd give the stayers, so I was giving them too much work. And they're only babies. They're like having a 2-year-old, child. And of course they couldn't cope with it, and they were always tired, and they didn't have any speed. 2-year-olds don't need a lot of hard work, and you want them bouncing out. If you see Wesley Ward's 2-year-olds like bounce off the track like that, born in America, he gives them very minimalistic work, but they're ready to rock and roll when they go to the races. Adrian's the same. Adrian's a brilliant trainer, and he understands the art of training 2-year-olds, and very few people do.
What's the most important part of a trainer's job educating these 2-year-olds?
Most important and fundamental thing is to get them to jump from the gates. And if the horses fly from the gates, they've won the race. Simple as that, because in the first furlong of the race, the horse can get himself positioned, leading or wherever he wants to be. And 2-year-olds, most of them win that lead, or most that lead that win, I should say. And the horse can then, roll a cigarette, have a cup of tea. He can have a breather in the middle of the race, which is also important. And then he can go and win like that.
I asked about some of your great horses, and there's been so many, Gai, and I think I know which one you put on top, but I'll just run through a few names, and if I've forgotten any, please tell me. Piero, More Joyous, Grand Army, Desert War, Dance Hero, Alligator Blood, Juggler, Tuesday Joy, and that's just some of them. Who's the best?
Well, I always said Dance Hero was the best, because Dance Hero was like a street fighter. He'd get out there and punch you in the guts and then give you one straight up in the face, and that was the end of it. That was the rest of the opposition. And he would position himself in a race immediately and be there. He was only beaten once, and that was in the Breeders' Plate. No, I nearly ate Danny Beasley alive that night.
Dance Hero still the leader from Charge Forward. Lingy, is she running out of ground? Dance Hero in front holding Charge Forward. Dance Hero wins the Golden Slipper.
I'm very proud of my 8 Golden Slippers. I used to have a Lazy Susan in the centre of the table, and I used to put the Golden Slippers around them so that it would gee me up to think about the next year's Golden Slipper. I stopped doing that.
Welcome back to the Golden Path. We're less than a month out from the big race, the Golden Slipper. So it's that time, guys. Are we on the right path, and what are we on for the rough path?
Well, no changes from me. Wotan, stick with him until we have another look at him, and I think we're all agreeing. Let's have another look at him next time, and we'll get a much better guide. And I'm saying West of Swindon's still over the odds around that $15 mark.
So everything changes, but nothing changes.
Exactly.
I'm the same.
How philosophical of you, Brad.
Yeah, that's right. No reason to jump off Wotan. No reason to jump off West of Swindon as far as being the best value at this point.
I'm with you both in that respect, but I'm with Comedy there at the 26s. How does this work? If Comedy comes out and wins this weekend, do I get my $26 or...?
No, you're going to put your money on.
Ah.
You don't get it free.
But am I putting my hypothetical money on now?
Yes, okay, that's yeah.
Is that what we're going
right,
with?
Yeah.
Because if he comes out and wins, he won't be 26s.
No, you can say you were tipping him at $26
and then you got to find a new one.
The punters should have reacted when you told them.
And touch wood, he's got to win still. All right, now time, Brad, for your Golden Achiever.
Okay, this week's Golden Achiever, we've got some vision of Duff singing karaoke. No, we don't actually. I wish we did. We're going to go to the Saudi Cup. So
I thought it was Shaggy going to get the Golden Achiever.
No, so this is everything that's great about racing. You don't have to need to have had a bet or an understanding in terms of the depth of form here. What we do know is that two world-class animals went toe-to-toe a long way from home, and the way that this race just played out captured everyone's attention, even the call. It's everything great about racing, isn't it, guys?
And the post-race discussions.
The post-race, absolutely.
Yep.
No, a proper race, wasn't it? And what was it? 10 lengths to the third horse. Two of the world's best. There's no doubt about it.
And two horses of a generation as well, aren't they?
For sure. No, it's a. No argument about that, Achiever. Well, big achievement from both of them.
Both of them, and it was just the way that it played out. You had Romantic Warrior absolutely cruising. He looked home for all money. I don't know what price he would have traded in the run, but it would have been very, very short.
Money back.
Next minute, Forever Young just starts creeping, and it's only into the last 50 metres you think, he's half a chance here.
Yeah.
Next minute, he wins running away.
He's just a master on the dirt too, that horse Forever Young, but all credit with Romantic Warrior at his first go.
Oh, no doubt. First crack at that.
Then back to Dubai. I think he's already there. Pushes on.
Dirt or turf?
Turf, I think.
Okay.
I think.
Mr. Worldwide.
Mr. Worldwide. That's what we say. We're not Mr. Worldwide. We'll be here next week. Have a great weekend, lads. I'll see you out there for the Golden Path.